For wrestling diehards only, this is the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
Hello and welcome in. It's been a while. I got to knock the rust off here. It's been a while since we've done one of these. Welcome into an off-season edition of the Mat Chat Prepcast here on IdahoSports.com, where we are talking wrestling in the great state of Idaho. During the high school season, we're on every single week. But here in the off-season, we just pop in when there's something noteworthy to discuss. And it wasn't that long ago that Fargo Nationals took place. And so here we are to break down everything that Team Idaho did over at Fargo. Of course, it's a cast of thousands here at IdahoSports.com, but two of the biggest in terms of promoting wrestling. Let's bring on my co-panelists here. Let's start with Coach Al Fontes. Al, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. Summer flew by. I'm not sure I'm ready for the start of another high school season. And most of these people I talked to said they're not quite ready for school yet either.
No, unfortunately, it already has begun. My daughter started yesterday, so day one. So at least Ada County, West Ada, has already started. So, but
brutal.
We are.
Yep. Well, plenty of time to talk about school in the following weeks. We're here to talk about what happened a couple of weeks ago at Fargo Nationals. Let's also bring in Brian Zollinger. Brian, what's up?
What's going on, diehards? Hey, guys. It's good to see you again.
Yeah. Good to see you too. So we are doing this, of course, live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and X account. If you're not able to be with us live tonight, that's totally cool. We get it. You can always go back and watch this on replay. You can also listen to the Mat Chat Prepcast at IdahoSports.com, along with wherever you download and subscribe to your podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, etc. And if you are hanging out live tonight, first of all, we want to hear from you. That's what makes the Mat Chat Prepcast so great. If there is a question you have for one of our guests that we're going to have coming up, or you've got a question for Al or Brian or myself, or just a shout out, somebody you want to give a shout out to, you can throw it in the comments. We'll throw it up on the screen. And while you're hanging out in the chat tonight, if you could hit the like button or the subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, the like button. If you're on YouTube, the subscribe button. And then share this when it's all said and done. That'll help all the wrestling diehards that weren't able to be here live tonight find this special edition of the Mat Chat Prepcast a little easier on replay. So, Al, we're going to do more of a deep dive into Fargo Nationals and how Team Idaho did at the end of the show. But just give me your real quick, snapshot of what you saw from Team Idaho at Fargo.
I just saw a lot of kids coming together. I went to the training camp for Fargo. The kids were working hard. They got a great system. I just saw a lot of kids that, especially the juniors have been around for several years, just rededicating themselves. A lot of them are going to go on, but they wrestled, one more Fargo tournament, end up earning, their multiple All-Americans. And then just seeing some of our younger girls in the girls division starting to have success very early on as freshmen at this level. And it's really impressive, but it doesn't surprise me considering that we're seeing this next generation coming in and it's getting better and better. So I'm just impressed with the commitment the kids in this system in this state to excel at the highest level.
Yeah, their dedication always blows me away. Brian, what was your quick from the hip reaction to Fargo this year?
Yeah, just another amazing tournament to see, all the support staff there. Idaho had a huge contingency and Coach Owens and the coaching staff, the directors of USA Idaho Wrestling just did an amazing job keeping it organized. It's just fun to see, a family of 100 wrestlers, girls and boys over there and, cheering each other on. Great tournament and the results, they showed it. Idaho had a good showing again.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's enough of us talking. We're going to talk to some of the athletes that made it happen for Team Idaho out there on the mats. We have 4 guests lined up for tonight's show, and all of them are going to be they'll bring a different perspective, and I think it's going to be great. So if you're hanging out in the chat tonight and you've got a question for one of these young men or women we have coming up on the show tonight, feel free to throw it in the chat, or if it's a shout out too, we love those. You can throw that in the chat and we'll throw it up on the screen. Let's bring in our first guest, though. She's getting ready for her sophomore season at Jerome High School. And spoiler alert, it's not the first or the last Magic Valley wrestler we're going to talk about tonight, but from Jerome High School, Olivia Bezdicek. Olivia, did I say your last name right?
Yep.
Okay. Whew. It's always rule number one. You've got to get the name right. Olivia, thanks for coming on with us. We appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So take us through your summer from the end of the school year to now. I know you've been training. Obviously, you went to Fargo and competed, but give our fans kind of an idea of what the summer's been like for Olivia Bezdicek.
I would say after the high school season, I took a little break off and, let my body kind of rest a little bit. And then after that, I'd say I went back to practice, because I was getting ready for Fargo. Unfortunately, though, leading up to it, I did get sick for 3 months with mono, which wasn't great. But then a couple weeks before that, I got better. So I had some good practices, a little more confidence going into Fargo.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So mono, that's a gnarly, I mean, you probably were just laying in bed, just couldn't move, right?
Yeah. It's real, you just feel really exhausted. And then when you do try to work out and stuff, you feel really sick.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Al, I mean, that just adds to the incredible story, right?
Yeah, it just adds, but it talks about that commitment. They got this focus. So Olivia, I first watched you wrestle at Jaybird. You won that tournament. Then I watched you at the state championships. And as a freshman, you had 4 pins in a row to win the title. And I've been telling people this next generation coming up is going to be even better because they've had the girls in front of them and you've learned from that. So that being said, it's grown at the grassroots high school. What inspired you to join the sport of wrestling at your age?
Probably the main thing that inspired me, I had watched the practices. I'd seen my cousin Zeke, who's actually now my high school coach. I'd watched him practice, and I just convinced my mom to let me try, and I just fell in love with it.
Awesome.
I love that. And we're already getting some shout outs here. Here's Renee in the chat. Fargo. Yes, that's going to be our next question for Olivia. And here's Nancy. Love that girl. Yeah. Thanks for the love, Nancy. We appreciate it. So yeah, let's talk about, you went to Fargo, you got your first All-American honors from Fargo as well. How did that feel when you found out that you were going to be a Fargo All-American?
Honestly, it's really hard to describe. I mean, I'd always I've seen all my cousins, go into it, and I just when I was young, just always knew I can't wait for Fargo. I can't wait to try and win it and place. And I don't know. It was a great feeling when I won. I was definitely really proud of myself.
Yeah, Brian, I mean, this is to earn All-American status at the premier national competition. I mean, it doesn't happen for everybody.
Yeah, no, Olivia, you should be proud. It's an amazing accomplishment. I saw you up in it used to be called Battleground. I guess it's Northwest Regionals, and you were just on fire up there winning that tournament. And I've seen you since you were, just little. I remember you beating up on my daughters clear back when, and you taught me something tonight. I did not know Zeke was your cousin, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So is there ever a break from wrestling, or are you still training right now?
I do try to give myself a little rest. I don't want to wear myself out from it. Usually after big ones, I might take a week or two off, but then I usually go straight back to it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So did you in Fargo? Did you stay with the girls at the team hotel or?
No, I was just staying with my mom and my aunt.
Yeah, what did you think about the camaraderie at the team and the team practices there, the whole atmosphere?
Honestly, we're really close. We're all friends, and we all want each other to do great, and we're proud of each other, win or lose. So I don't know. It's we're just all friends, family too.
That's part of my favorite thing watching you girls there is just the camaraderie, and man, you're all screaming for each other. You're at Matt's side with each other, so super impressive, and I love to see it. Good work.
Thanks.
For sure. More shout outs coming in here. John says, congrats to all of the Fargo placers. And here's Kinsey. So proud of you. Her dedication is extraordinary. Yeah. To overcome mono and still get the training in time to be prepared for Fargo. So, I mean, how do you top that, Olivia? Now, as we're getting into the high school season, what are the goals that you've set for yourself in your second year of high school competition?
I think the main goals are just, switching up. So that way I can be good at like multiple moves instead of just a couple things. Just widening like my, moves that I really good at and working on, just from reviewing my matches, working on footwork and just doing all the little things, perfecting those. I would say is definitely the main goal this next high school season.
So,
Al, that's music to our ears, right? Watch the tape, break it down, and study.
yeah. So that being said, Olivia, if given the opportunity, and this opportunity will likely come through time, what would you do to improve girls wrestling and help it grow at the grassroots and high school level?
Definitely to just grow it. I just think, advertising it is the best way. Like, I feel like just from like experience from high school, there's just most girls don't know it's a thing. Like wrestling is a thing for girls, and definitely just that advertisement. And I'm actually planning to go to the middle school this year and to help get more girls in wrestling and just teach them what I've learned throughout the years.
That's
And
when I started coaching as a freshman in high school. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. I
That's
look forward to
incredible.
seeing it.
Yeah, you're going to be a great ambassador for the sport. Definitely, Olivia. We really appreciate you coming on and taking a couple of minutes out of one of the few precious days left of your summer to talk to us. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Good luck.
Thanks, Olivia.
All right. Thanks, Olivia. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, there you go. Olivia Bezdicek, sophomore at Jerome High School. And again, a Fargo All-American. Here's Renee in the chat. I stopped in at the girls' Fargo prep camp in Idaho Falls. Those girls are amazing. Well, let's keep it rolling. Let's bring on another amazing sophomore from the Magic Valley. It's Roxy Sheen from Buell High School. Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Roxy, thanks for coming on and talking to us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. How cool is it to see? I mean, you're representing the Magic Valley so well. Olivia is also representing the Magic Valley. How cool is it to have somebody not that far away from where you are in Buell, having two incredible young women that are really pioneers for Idaho girls wrestling?
It's cool, especially since we're such good friends, It's always fun. We're practice partners usually at our club, so it's always fun having her.
Do you keep score in your head of who, when you're going head to head, who's got the upper hand?
Yeah.
Al, that's part of that competitive drive, right? But at the same time, that's what I love about Team Idaho. They push each other in practice, but then when it's time to compete, they're everybody's biggest supporter. It really is a big, huge family for Team Idaho Wrestling. That's something that Coach Chris Owens has really cultivated.
Yeah, it is. And they have a system and everyone's buying into that system. Not just the system, it's the process to be a Fargo All-American. And that's a long equation, what it takes to do that. But Roxy, I'm not sure if you know this, but I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the second girl at Buell to win state. I think Taylor Hood was the first, but you're the first freshman to do it. But when it comes to All-American, I believe you're the first girl or even wrestler at Buell to earn All-American at Fargo. I can't think of anyone else.
Yes, I think so as well.
Yeah, congratulations on that. And just like Olivia, you came into the state tournament, been telling some of the older girls, hey, this next generation coming up is even better. And you had 4 straight pens at state, which was very impressive. Set up real good precedents. But congratulations on earning Fargo All-American.
Thank you.
Huge undertaking to achieve.
What was your reaction when you found out you were going to be an All-American?
I was really excited, since Fred, I think, told me like a few matches before I placed, like if I was like to place, I'd be the first Buell wrestler, and I thought that was really cool. So I was really excited.
Yeah, that's so incredible. We're getting lots of love in the chat here. Here's Chris. Go Buell Indians. Yes. Here's Nancy. Proud of you, Roxy girl. And now we've got a question from the chat here, Roxy, as well. Renee wants to know, do you want to wrestle in college? And if so, where do you want to attend? You've got plenty of time to figure that out. But just top of your head, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I want to wrestle in college, but I'm not sure schools yet or anything. I'm not sure yet exactly, but somewhere warm. I like warm weather, so.
Well, if we can make
It's good.
Yeah,
Roxy, you have a unique perspective. You mentioned Fred. You're one of the few girls that, you know, you get done with high school season and then you get to keep the same coach year round. Fred's traveling to all the tournaments with you. How's that? I mean, how's that relationship?
It's fun. He's a nice coach. He's always text me, show me new shoes he wants to buy, so it's always fun.
He is kind of a sneaker junkie, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's fun to watch you guys travel with, you know, Fred, and you load up how do you like riding in the battle wagon?
It's cool. Everybody looks at us like, what's going on? These kids.
You know that van is world famous, right?
I'm sure. It's a cool van.
It's been a lot of miles, and everybody knows when they see that camouflage orange, black, and white van what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, here's Hoyt and Brock Haas in the chat. Shout out to Fred doing big things for Idaho women's wrestling. Absolutely. So Roxy, you grew up in Buell. Obviously, it's a huge wrestling community. But what pushed you towards saying, yeah, let's give wrestling a shot?
My brother wrestled like when I was really little, and he was really little, and I was always at his tournament. So I was like, this is kind of boring. I might as well, if I'm gonna be here, I might as well wrestle. So.
Have you learned anything from your older brother or picked up any tips or anything?
Yeah, he's showed me a lot of moves at home. We sometimes like drill a little bit together, or we get in fights, and we're always wrestling. So
show some moves. Yeah, that's rough. That's slang for roughhousing.
Turns into a fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Roxy, you're this next generation of Idaho girl wrestlers coming up that is starting to set new precedents in the sport. As you've seen at the Olympics, the United States women's wrestling is one of the best in the world right now. It's growing exponentially at the collegiate level. It's here in Idaho, it's on an upward trajectory. If you had the opportunity to prove this sport for girls at the grassroots high school level, what would you recommend from your experiences?
Yeah, just like probably just do like a lot of camps, because I feel like a lot of girls, like, I don't know, you can make friends through it. Like all the girls come together and do camps, like all girls camps, just more of those, because I feel like we don't have a lot and they're always fun.
Cool. That's a great answer.
So as you're getting ready for your sophomore year of high school competition, what goals have you set for yourself?
Probably just like get stronger and try new moves. I kind of have a small like move range. I feel like I need to branch out a little bit more. I have my 3 moves that I do, but they work good, but gotta try some more stuff.
And that's what Olivia told us too. She's going to try and experiment and try new moves out and see how that goes. I think that's a great idea. And I love that response for sure. Couple of shout outs before we go here. Here's Hoyt and Brock again. Battle Wagon Tough. There's a shout out to the Battle Wagon from Buell. And how about this one? Big Brother Ryder. Congrats, sis. Oh, that's great.
So Brandon and Brian, here's another common thing we've seen with wrestlers too, just for the audience that doesn't wrestler. Many of our wrestlers at this level are some of the most humble athletes out there. Very well spoken, humble, working hard. In fact, if you had watched the Olympics, the Olympic champion Amit Elor won the Olympic title in the women's division. She's a 9-time world champ, only 20 years old. And it was incredible in their interview, very humble. She goes, I'm just starting to gain my confidence. And I'm sitting there thinking, 9-time world champ, just gaining this. It's some of the most humble people and well-spoken. So keep that up, Roxy. Keep up that humble, work hard, and follow your dreams.
Thanks, Roxy. We look forward to watching you compete this upcoming season. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Of
Roxy.
course. Roxy Sheen from Buell, the pride of Buell. We do have a question in the chat. John wants to know about college wrestling. John, I promise we'll answer your question, but we'll do it at the end of the show because we got to bring on our last 2 guests. And Al, we have talked about all the incredible women that we have wrestling in the great state of Idaho. I'm very happy to bring on our next one. She just finished up her high school career as a student and an athlete. It's Kaidance Gerg. Kaidance, hello. How's your summer been?
It's been good, pretty smooth, lots of training and hanging out. It's easy with being able to work out with my family. So it's.
Yeah. And so Kaidance, you live in, is it Meridian, right? Somewhere in the Treasure Valley.
Yeah, Meridian.
Okay. Yeah. Take us through what a typical day looks like for Kaidance Gerg, outstanding female wrestler from Idaho.
Thank you. It's pretty simple. Just wake up, and depending on the day, it'll either be a gym workout or it'll be cardio. And then usually it'll be just hang out for a little bit, and we'll indulge in our hobbies. So we'll either go out shooting bows or something beneficial to how we feel and keep us in high spirits, and then wrestling at night.
Yeah, so you are a homeschooled student. I'm sure that gives you lots of flexibility to plan your workouts and those activities around, the studying and the schoolwork you have to do.
Oh, for sure. It actually, when we did homeschooling, it made things so much simpler. I felt like I got so much more freedom to do everything that I wanted to, like hobbies, wrestling, getting stronger, faster. Like I could work out for longer and not be worried about being exhausted at the end of the day.
Al, I know this is Kaidance is someone you've been really interested in following in terms of, because she came like a bright light and just like all of a sudden burst onto the scene here in Idaho, and we're like, who is Kaidance Gerg, right?
I'm on the computer. I'm like, where's she come from? Oh, okay. All right. And no. Hey, congratulations on, I know you won Fargo last year. You took third this year. You had a tough loss in the semis, but I liked your response and how you responded. Came back. You didn't complain. You said, hey, I got to work hard and keep at it. So congratulations on that. That's the mentality you're going to have to move up to that next level as you're learning, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
And people need
just get right back up.
Get right back up and keep going at it. So, what, now that you're out of high school per se, are you going to focus primarily on making an international team like U20, U23, then the next level? Is that your primary focus now?
Yeah, World Team is the next focus. We have the Senior Open in September, so I'll be there wrestling to make a World Team.
Right on.
Close.
That's awesome. So you went to Fargo. You picked up your second All-American honors. Which one was more difficult, the first one or the one that happened this year?
Well, I could say that this year I made it difficult for myself. This year, more difficult. I felt a lot more comfortable last year. Last year I was a lot more confident walking into it, and it made wrestling so much smoother because I walked into Fargo last year with zero expectations, because I went like 4-2 or 2-4 in the previous years, like with zero placing. So it was a lot less like anxiety inducing, but I think I psyched myself out coming into this year, because I didn't let out like any offense in any of my matches. If you go back and watch them, it's like what are you doing? It was really stupid. So it was definitely, I made it harder for myself this year. And in a year I should have won, but held myself back. So I guess it's all up to perspective on difficulty. Like,
for sure. Yeah. And the more recent one's going to stand out, right, Brian?
Yeah. And Kaidance, I love to see the self-reflection, and I could kind of see it this year at Fargo. You were a little more reserved, because I'm with Al. The first time I saw you last year at national team duels in Oklahoma, I had to ask the girls, like, who is that? Like, I mean, just rocking it. And something I haven't ever got a chance to ask you, I know you work out a lot with your dad and do some martial arts as well, but when did you start? How young were you when you actually started wrestling?
I was 12 years old. I started in the juniors division. So like the end of the year of the juniors. So
right on. And I know you cut a little more weight this year. What weight class are you looking at for the senior nationals? Where are you going to go?
So we're looking at 55 kilograms, I believe. So 120, but it's kind of up in the air at the moment. So, my dad's like, can you make 120? And I'm like, well, I can make 120. Will it be a happy 120? We'll see.
How many weigh-ins at the World Trials? Two.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, we saw at the Olympics the the girl from India that should have been in the finals, took out a legend and then doesn't make her second weigh-in. So, watch that weight, control it, have a plan, right?
Yeah, you have to be super smart when cutting weight. Thankfully, me and my dad both sit down and talk about how we cut weight, and it's all a scientific process on how we do it. So it's healthy, and I'm not suffering until like the day of, and it's like, oh, why don't you get up and run? I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's good advice to anybody watching. Do it healthy. You shouldn't be, starving yourself days before. So that's good advice, Kaidance.
Just always keep it healthy. And if you can't make the weight, don't force yourself to make the weight. So always try to do it healthy and gradual. Always plan your weight classes like your weight loss, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month prior if you can.
Kaidance, I feel like we could just do a whole show just talking about you and your training regimen and all the guidance and tips. I mean, you're just a fountain of good like tips and info. So if any young women are out there watching, or any young men even, Kaidance has got, I mean, and you've got the credentials to back it up too, right?
Just a little bit.
There's that humble. So what would you do to help grow girls wrestling at the grassroots and at the age group level?
With younger kids, you got to make it look fun. Like women's wrestling, it's supposed to be fun. You got to be exciting. And to grow women's wrestling, I think a big part of it is showing that there are good women leaders out there for sure. I personally would love to get around and do some clinics and stuff, and just to show people how much fun wrestling can be. Like it's cool to be like, oh yeah, I can beat anyone up. So that, especially as a girl, like walking to Walmart, be like, yeah, I could fight anyone. Yeah. So like, let little girls have that mindset that they can be strong and tough. And then as you get older, it's still as cool. I don't know. I think it's cool that I can fight people.
I love that suggestions, Kaidance. We'll be in touch, and we'll bring you over to East Idaho for a camp. We've got, that'd be great for some development.
I'd love it. It'd be so much fun.
We'll get in touch. That's a good idea.
I'm sure every community in Idaho would open their doors to you and say, come on in. Let's do it. That's
Thank
incredible. You. Yes. Okay. We do have one shout out / request here in the chat from Hoyt and Brock. They say, can you play us a song on the guitar? They noticed your guitar sitting in the background there, Kaidance.
No, I cannot. It's been a while since I've played. It's been a while, a long time. It's mostly been playing in video games recently.
only so many hours in the day.
Would. Maybe get back to me in like a month or so.
Sounds good. We'll circle back and see if you've learned any tunes.
I will learn a singular song for you, my friend.
Okay, there we go. Valerie says, love it, Kaidance. Great response. Come up north for a camp. See, now you've opened that can of worms. You're gonna be a popular person.
Awesome. I've spoken with her a couple of times, and I've always loved speaking with her. I'd love the opportunity to go up there. I hear she's got a bunch of girls. So
awesome.
No, we wish you the best at the World Trials. As I said before to you, follow your dreams. If you make the Olympics someday, you're gonna have to dye your head red, white, and blue.
We were just talking about that earlier.
Your part there, you got the Smurf, right? The blue, but red, white, and blue.
Yeah. No, I was like, oh, what color should we do for World Team Trials? Like red, white, and blue for when you make the World Team. And I was like,
there you go.
Fair enough.
I love it. That's great. Kaidance, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be following you as you chase down those dreams. Best of luck to you.
It was great being here. Thank you guys. See you later.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kaidance. Bye. All right, guys. That was she's such a bright light. I mean, just her energy is infectious, right, Brian?
Yeah, she's fun to be around for sure. The girls love it. So
yeah.
And she loves wrestling. And a lot of people, you can be good, but you gotta love the sport to advance.
Yeah, to talk about cutting weight and still be laughing and smiling. I mean,
no, we weren't, right, Brian?
No.
I remember smiling.
Well, and you heard the contrast with a couple of our guests where Roxy Sheen said basically, yeah, I've been around wrestling since I was yay high watching my older brothers. Kaidance didn't pick it up until she was 12, and that's kind of later on in the cycle, but it just goes to show with the hard work, Brian, doesn't matter the age, you could always go out and achieve your goals.
Yeah. It's fun to watch her and her dad work out together too. I mean, that's just cool. I don't care who you are, father, daughter out there working out together, wrestling is
right there in their garage. It's like
garage.
You got a mat and wall mats and sleepless gear and everything.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, we have one final guest left. We got to give the fellas some love, right? It's time to bring on. I'm a little worried because I don't actually see his icon anymore on the. I'm going to try to bring in our next guest, and we'll see if he's there. And if not, then we'll just vamp for a couple of minutes until he gets reconnected. But we are going to bring on a Fargo Junior National Champion, just graduated from Mountain View High School this past spring. Oh yeah, there he is. It is the big bad heavyweight himself, Shilo Jones. Shilo, what's up?
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Of course. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I know you've got to go to school. Is that next week? You're hitting the road?
I leave the 21st, move in Friday, school starts Monday.
Yeah. So this was like, if we were going to get you, it was going to be this week. We appreciate you squeezing us in.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, Al, this is somebody just for full disclosure, Al coaches at Rocky Mountain High School, which is a big rival of Mountain View, of course. But so you've gotten to see Shilo a lot up close and personal in the time that you've been coaching and then covering wrestling here in Idaho. And, when we talk about heavyweights from the Boise area, Aiden Natal has been so, he's taken so much of the attention, but all that time, Shilo was a very excellent wrestler as well. I'm glad that Shilo got a chance to have a moment to himself in the spotlight as well, Al.
Well, Aiden Natal is what he is because Shilo, you pushed him. You were his shadow. I mean, you guys were just going neck to neck all those years. You're a quiet warrior. And I think one thing a lot of people don't realize, I've been watching the last 4 years. I think between folk style, freestyle, and Greco, you've accumulated around 14 All-American honors. And you've traveled the country. That is a total commitment, my friend. And to have that kind of focus and maintain that high GPA, I know you have. You just sort of describe that process, the training, the travel, and the challenges of being that committed.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have parents that can afford to take me to all these tournaments and give me plenty of opportunities. And definitely miss some school, but it's not that hard to stay on top of.
No,
just communicate with your teachers and you should be okay.
Yeah.
Love the humility, Shilo. Love the humility. And can't wait to what we mentioned. You've been right there every year, second at Fargo. How did it feel? I mean, clean sweep this year, state champion, folk style national champion, and now a Fargo national champion. Tell me what it felt like to be on the top of the podium.
It was pretty nice. I wish there were a couple more heavy hitters, ranked guys. Some just decided not to come to certain national tournaments this year, but still a lot of great guys came.
Yeah, you beat who was in front of you. That's all you can do, right? I mean, they're running from you. That's the case.
Mm-hmm. Well, they know they have to wrestle the whole match.
Yeah.
There's no cruising in your matches. That's why you pushed the towel. You pushed all those guys. That's what made each of you better. You're willing to wrestle the full length.
Are you going to throw Coach Obi around there? I mean, you got to be twice his size when you get to North Dakota.
With one arm, Brian.
I'm definitely going to be wrestling with them a little bit, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
But we got another great coach there, Saran Francisco. He's going to be the heavyweight coach. So hopefully I'll get to wrestle him a little bit too. And sounds like we got a lot of great partners coming in too.
Good. Very nice. What's the first year goals?
School's a big part, right? Keeping my GPA up. And I think the plan is to redshirt, but with that, you still get some weigh-ins. So I'm probably going to get maybe a duel and a couple tournaments, hopefully wrestle some ranked guys and see where I match up there.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have in the chat here. This is Olivia's mom, Nicole Bezdicek. Where's Shilo headed to school at? That's my bad as a host. I didn't intro that very well. There it is, North Dakota State University, over in Fargo.
Yes, sir.
Do you guys wrestle in the Fargo Dome?
No, we wrestle on the basketball court, which is so. I believe it's west of the Fargo Dome. It's right next to it. That's where all the wrestling facilities and weight room is.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
And take us through your recruitment process again. What made you decide to go to North Dakota State? I mean, it's a great program, but what made you decide to go there?
Well, the coaching staff is great. They got great facilities, and they recruited me hard, which like.
Yeah. Renee in the chat says the Stanford Center. Does that sound right? Is that the name of the basketball arena?
I believe it's called the Shield Center.
Oh,
Yeah, it is Stanford. It's like Stanford Shield Center. It's got a long name, but yeah.
You got plenty of time to learn it. I mean, for sure. Yeah, take us through what it was like at Mountain View. I know just in your school, there's a lot of good wrestlers, especially in those upper weights as well. Just talk about the culture and the program at Mountain View High School.
Yeah. A lot of heavyweights. Yeah.
A lot of good ones too. Yeah.
Last year we didn't get to send one of our heavyweights to state, which I don't know. We were kind of hoping he would get a wild card and get an opportunity to come in, but it's not too often that you have top 4 guys all in one school. And then Ateo, who was there last year, also should have been actually in our school based off where he lived, but that would have been even more packed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Whole state
yeah, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great wrestling partners at Mountain View. We also got the opportunity to host Fargo camp this year, which was awesome.
Does Coach McGinnis get down on the mat with you still?
Yeah, yes, he does.
Can he still bring the heat?
He still
yeah, he does. He hasn't been on as often as he normally has, but he still brings the heat.
Good.
Awesome. Well, Shilo, congratulations on bringing home the title from Fargo, and we're so excited to go watch you compete over in Fargo for your college career now as well. I guess maybe one day you'll run for mayor of Fargo. That's the next step, right?
No, we need him to come back to Idaho. Hey, you can be the mayor of Meridian. Okay.
There we go.
No, hey, Shilo, it's been a pleasure watching you in high school. I admire your commitment to the sport. Great family. Hey, I wish you the best there. Follow your dreams, brother. Follow your dreams.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Cool.
Thanks,
Shilo, enjoy your last few days in the Treasure Valley before you head to colder climate.
Just a little bit.
Trying to enjoy my summer as much as I can.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Shilo Jones, former Mountain View Maverick, current North Dakota State Bison. Thanks for hopping on, Shilo. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, take care.
Great.
All right, guys, there you go. One last comment here, I guess, for Mountain View. Hoyt and Brock still in the chat. Great coaching there, too. Shout out McGinnis, you the man. Al, for all of these incredible young men and women that continue to impress on a national stage. And, we didn't get to talk to all of the wrestlers we wanted to tonight. We understand they're all busy and it's the summertime. But it really does starts with the parents, and then it goes to the coaches, and Chris Owens and all of these high school coaches have done such a great job of just building up Idaho wrestling.
Yeah, they've done it. It's a process. It's a family. It's a commitment. All, and I've said it since I've been here. If you want to be as successful at the highest levels, you can in Idaho, because Chris Owens, Brian, your area, you guys got your coaching, all these guys coaching. There's so many good coaches right now that can be successful. And, this year, Fargo, we just hit our 346th All-American since 1980 when the first guy won it. And we produced 15 All-Americans this year, which is it's a 10-year average. I mean, we had a few high years, 24, 21, 19, but 15 is the 10-year average, and very impressive at that level. So,
yeah, it's just incredible.
It is.
Go ahead, Brian.
To see, I mean, the support staff, the coaches that Team Idaho takes back, I think, I don't know exactly what the number was, but I think they had 50 coaches for the boys team there and about 40 for the girls team, and then another 10 or 12 support staff. I mean, you almost have one-on-one coaching just to see what they built and the culture and the way that Coach Owens involves all the coaches, gets them involved, and you get this different perspective. It's pretty amazing to see, and it's going to be fun to watch, see what the future holds.
For sure. Yeah. Al, you did a nice job of putting a list together of all of our All-Americans this year. I didn't have time to put it on a graphic, but I'll say it out loud.
Okay.
16U Greco All-Americans on the boys' side. You had Sean Hall from Canyon Ridge, who took 5th. Drake Morrison from Malad, who took 5th at 144. Blaze Turner from American Falls took 7th at 190. And then our other national champion, we had Shilo Jones win at 285 in the junior division. And Ivan Ivanov from Eagle took the 157-pound title in the 16U.
And OW, second time, right? Brian, last year,
Yeah.
Saxon was 16U Greco. Totally impressive.
That is.
Yeah.
It's huge. Yeah. 2 OWs in a row for 16U. That's, I don't know. I'm sure some states done it, but that's pretty impressive from Idaho.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to sum up Fargo, I mean, we have a lot of tough prep tournaments in the country, but Fargo, the freestyle is among the, I think it's the largest, right, Brian? Largest age group tournament in the world.
It is, yeah.
I mean, it's basically a sneak preview to the future NCAAs, All-Americans, and Olympians. And just looking at sheer numbers, this year they had over 8,000 entrants. So in 2022, they had just over 6,600 some entrants. And if you look at just the growth of it, going back to the girls, in just since 2022, it's gone up almost 60% increase in numbers in 16U girls, where I think the boys in Greco is around 20. It averaged anywhere from 16 to 20% increase in just the last few years. That is incredible. So you're talking tons of competition, where the weight groups back in my day might have been 30, 40 guys. Now it's 100 kids, right?
Yeah.
It's just
some of those weights were pushing 200 kids this year. And, all 50 states were there for the first time, plus Guam and Puerto Rico. I mean, it was pretty impressive when they announced that at the tournament. I think, it was shocking. So,
yeah, I mean, it's been a net positive every year. I think the only year, I think it was, I'm trying to think, in 2023, the girls' junior freestyle dipped by almost 10% in numbers. But the only reason is I think it was that, Brian, correct if I'm wrong, I think that was a year where girls couldn't go 16U and both juniors. They used to be able to double up. Now they have to go either or, right?
Yeah, I think you're right there. And, they're to the point now, the talk is, are they going to have to split it off? How do they control it? Can they add Greco and split it? And it's fun to hear the coaches and the state directors debate that. And I'm sure it'll be hotly debated for a few more years, but it looks like at least one more year they're going to stick it there.
Yeah.
It might be a weekly topic when we do our weekly edition of the Bad Chat Prepcast coming up in December. Okay, real quick, the rest of our All-Americans. So 16U Greco boys. We had Ivan Ivanov from Eagle, your champion in OW at 157. Drake Morrison of Malad, 5th place at 144. Sean Hall, Canyon Ridge, 5th place at 132. And then Blaze Turner from American Falls took 7th at 190. The 16U women's All-Americans, Olivia Bezdicek from Jerome, she took 7th at 124. Roxy Sheen from Buell took 5th at 142. We had both of them on the show tonight. And then if you go to the junior division on the boys' side, Greco All-Americans, Shilo Jones, the national champ, of course, at 285. We had Tragan Morin from Ridgeview take 2nd at 132. That was our next highest placer. We had 2 South Fremont guys competing at 126. Jackson Packer took 3rd. Bowden Banta took 8th. And then we also had Hudson Rogers of Meridian. He took 5th at 175. And Carson Gooley from Meridian took 7th at 215. And then in the freestyle division, we had 1 junior All-American, Big Bad Matt Martino from Bishop Kelly. He took 7th at 150. And then in the junior division for the women's side, 2 All-Americans. We heard from Kaidance Gerg from Meridian. She took 3rd place at 125. And Jolie Slider from Lewiston took 5th at 105. Alex, an impressive collection of names, and a lot of names we're going to talk about still in the high school season coming up.
And Jolie, that was her 3rd All-American honor at Fargo. Kaidance became the 6th two-time All-American in the junior girls. And Hudson, this was his 4th All-American at Fargo. I think Packard had 3, and Bowden Banta and Matthew Martino both joined the 2-time All-American club. And as you know, Shilo, I think he has up to 5 All-American. Brian, was it 5? He had like 1 year, then last year he had 2, and then it's like 4 or 5 All-American honors, Shilo Jones.
Yeah, it's impressive. And I think 7 of the 15 All-Americans were first time. So, I mean, it bodes well for future years as well. Yeah, we talked about those 16U, and to have 7 first-time All-Americans was pretty impressive as well.
Yeah.
Renee in the chat says Chris and Fred, that's Chris Owens and Fred Bartlett, they're out in Colorado Springs this weekend learning how they can better the state. Idaho is lucky to have such dedicated coaches on all levels. And Brian, you've already started the discussion. Renee adds, we not split in Fargo. So there you go. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Coming from Renee, that's one of the big issues. He officiates, and I mean, it's a tough week already for the officials, and if they have to take time away more than 1 week, it makes it really tough logistically. So I get where he's coming from.
For sure. I did want to wrap up just 2 kind of news related items before we sign off here for the off-season edition of the Matt Chat Prepcast. And again, everybody always asks, when do we start getting you guys every week? It'll be, again, start of the season, probably start of December. We haven't really looked at the calendar too far ahead yet, but that's when we'll be on every week for the Matt Chat Prepcast. John had a question tonight. Are there any closer talks of ISU or another college adding a wrestling program in the near future for these great kids? Al, this is a question we get almost every week on the show or whenever we do one. Sadly, I think the answer still is no. There's not a lot of traction, unfortunately.
No, I only heard that, Brian, you may know this more. I mean, word on the street is Idaho State is talking about maybe a women's program first, and then maybe exploring other options thereafter. I mean, what do you know?
Yeah, I mean, back when I was in the legislature, we spoke with Athletic Director Therian had just been hired there, and a group went and talked to her, and she seemed really keen on the possibility of adding girls and then adding boys a couple of years later. And then we had COVID, and I think discussions died down. So I hope we can get a group together and go back and broach that subject again. And I think there's always pressure in the Boise Valley to bring BSU back. And, there's some guys that did a lot of work there. So I think we have to keep the pressure on. But, the last I heard, ISU is probably the closest possibility because the current athletic director at least seemed, somewhat enthusiastic about the idea.
So is Idaho State, is that Division II or what? Because when you look at the landscape of college, NAIA is exponentially growing. Division I only has about 4 or 5 teams right now. D2 is growing a little bit. Do you know what division they would possibly go?
That's a good question, Brandon. Are they Division I bowl subdivision? Is that what they are right now?
No, so for football, they're Division I FCS, which is like one AA basically. So I would tend to think they'll probably not go all the way up to Division I. Yeah, out of the gate, right? For wrestling.
Wrestling's such a different animal, though. A lot of the schools with that are in the smaller divisions, football, do actually go Division I for wrestling. So, I think I logistically, I think they could go right out of the gate to Division I. Just you look at like Cal Poly and these schools that wrestle Division I, where their other athletic programs are not, or at least football is not. So I don't know what the regulations are. They'll have to look into that.
Yeah. So. Gentlemen, when you look at the landscape of Idaho, just in the last few years, you look at the talent that is leaving the state. I have to go back this from the top of my head. I think in the last 2 or 3 years, there's been around 100 wrestlers from Idaho, all divisions. Division I, NAIA, JUCO, all that club that are competing across the country. A lot of them are in the Northwest and Oregon and Washington area right there, Montana. But with the talent we have and living here, it'd be like being in the state of Michigan where they have some of the most talented high school age group hockey players. Can you imagine them not having a hockey team there? It's the same thing here. So if anyone out there is listening, the talent is here. We got to bring it back. It's just, I know there's a lot of lot that goes along with it, the politics, the money, and everything like that. But we got to get a program back here.
For sure. I think just to touch on Idaho State, because I did live in Pocatello pretty recently. Pauline Theros is a great athletic director, former volleyball coach there and player at ISU, and just a total competitor. I think the big priority for ISU right now is facilities, right? They want to get a basketball arena like the University of Idaho has, because then you'll be able to have better practice facilities and all of that stuff first. I think that's the big thing they're pushing for. And then maybe we can talk about exploring adding women's wrestling. But she's a great idea, and if it's in her sights, they'll get it done for sure.
That stadium, that football stadium's big. You can have some practices over there in the corner. It's so big. I mean, we don't have to wait. No, it's we just got to keep the pressure on. And here's another thing too. We're just talking the athletic capability. I've written articles on about 30 kids so far in the boys and girls division. Academically, every one of those kids were a honor roll student or higher. I think 40% were National Honor Society. So not only are they good athletes, we're losing great academic kids that could be coming back in this state, right? And that's huge.
Yeah, for sure. Renee says we need to start clubs. That's a good idea to start at first. You know, a club is not as intensive as a full-fledged sport.
I know ISU has a club. I mean, they've got it's funny, you go down there and they've got the ISU wrestling mat that they roll out. So they have a club there.
What about Idaho, University of Idaho up in Moscow? I keep seeing kids committing to their club, right? I think they're National Wrestling Coaches, so the club program.
Yeah, I'm not positive. Somebody watching should know that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing kids commit there on Instagram.
They do.
Yeah,
yep. They do have a club. Yep, for sure. Sean says, get NNU to get it going. That's our best chance. That's Northwest Nazarene University right there in Nampa. They are D2. And then Nicole says, we sat next to Iowa's women's wrestling coaches at Fargo. It was clear they were taking notes and recruiting. It's exciting to see what D1 schools step up for the women's division.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Iowa's the first, so it'll be fun to see who follows. I mean, it's going to happen soon.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because they only have like 4 or 5 programs totally right now. D1's a little bit different. Whereas NAIA, I think there's like 40 programs, maybe more.
Yeah,
it's going to start popping in the next few years. We'll probably see, 5 to 10 this year, I would guess, jump to D1 and women's. So,
yeah. Pretty remarkable. And then Al, I wanted to finish up with talking about girls wrestling in Idaho. So earlier this week, every year, the IHSAA has what's called media days. They travel to all 6 of the districts in Idaho and they meet with the media members. I live now in District 1, which is in North Idaho. So the perks is I get to be part of the first group that gets to meet with Mike Federico from the IHSAA. So I did that 2 days ago. They always give us all of the participation numbers for every sport and every activity in the state of Idaho from the previous year. So last year, guys, we had 715 girls compete in wrestling. It's pretty remarkable.
Considering just back in 2019, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that first open state tournament they had like 70 girls, 60 girls, maybe.
It sounds right. I mean, the bracket's pretty,
Yeah, that is exponential growth, and you see that same growth at Fargo. It's almost correlating with each other. It's incredible.
So I asked Mike Federico, how close are we to getting a second women's division at the state tournament instead of just the one open division? And they're hesitant to commit to a specific number, but they said if we see the kind of growth like we saw last year, that conversation is going to happen pretty quick. He said they're pretty close to splitting it into a small school division and a larger school division. This is just me. Again, this is not what I was told or anything, but in my head, I kind of feel like maybe 1,000 is the number that makes sense.
Yeah.
For a split down the middle, Brian, because then you could go large schools, your 6A, 5A, 4A, or even a 6A, 5A, and then you could have 4A down to 1A for the other divisions.
Yeah, that'd be great. So any girls, boys watching this, push those girls. Let's build the numbers, because that would be so many more opportunities. If you had 2 divisions at state, it's more girls going to state. It's just going to continue to exponentially grow. So I'm with you, Brandon. I think that's probably somewhere in there is that magic number, and they would have to, or at least consider it for us. So
yeah, that's the word on the street. We also have to keep in mind too, I think in 2022 that was the first year we had the girls official sanction with the boys, right? And they had it was an 8-girl bracket, I believe. So if you looked at the numbers, if it was like a bell curve, a vast majority of that number of girls there were right there in the middleweight. So we didn't have a lot in the light or up in the upper weights. But I think last year you're starting to see those growth that at the lower part of that spectrum. So I think if we reach 1,000 up to 1,000, 1,200, we'll be closer.
Yeah, we got some really incredible lightweights coming through, and of course Amy Hartman from Mountain Home, in the upper weights for sure last year. And then the other thing Mike Federico told me is that if they do go to the split, it may not necessarily be 16 person brackets right away, right? It may be 8, maybe 12. But it would be tough to do 2 16-person brackets from the jump. And that made sense to me too, Brian.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If you look at the curve and where the most are in each weight, it's primarily in the middle, but the other sides of the spectrum are growing.
Yeah. Here's Valerie. She says, we can keep growing this sport. We will be close to that number soon. Definitely. It's so exciting to see the continued growth. So, all right, guys, we did it. We kind of knocked off the rust a little bit. It took me a while to remember how we do this thing here, but it was fun.
It's fun.
Great to be back and great to hear from all the people that tune in. Valerie just commented she's doing a great job up north with women's wrestling, and so it's good to see all these familiar faces. And I'm glad they all tune in each week. And for IdahoSports.com hosting it and getting wrestling out there, it's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and just for everyone, I'm working on my next Hidden Gems. I'm starting early because I'm trying to catch up. I'm working with the Elise Twait of Meridian, who's a 2-time state champion. She's going for number 3, so that should be coming in the near future.
Awesome. And
great family, 7 siblings, right? Yeah, I think 4 of the brothers were state placers, right, Brian?
I think so. Yeah, that's crazy.
Isaiah, Matthew, and their older brother. Now she's coming up and got some young. So yeah, that should be coming out soon.
Yep, for sure. We got a couple of shout outs before we hit the door here. Melody Sheen, this is Roxy's mom. Great job, guys. Can't wait for the season. Us either. Rob from Sandpoint, great job as always, fellas. Good to have you back. Yeah, it's great to be back. And then Al Renee wants to know, can you message me your email? We can do that offline, but just so you know, that's out there. So
sure,
we'll facilitate that as well.
I can send you mine to you, Brian. Then you got
I can get it to Renee.
Okay, yeah, the one I sent, Coach Al.
Yeah, I've got your email. I'll just forward it to Renee.
Al, you almost said your email on the show. That would be you almost said it.
Dude, I can't hide. Okay? I couldn't hide. There's no way.
For sure. As a reminder, if there is anything, or a wrestler, a cool story, somebody you want to spotlight when we're doing the Matt Chat Prepcast every week starting in December, you can always send me an email, Brandon@IdahoSports.com. It's right there up on the screen. All right, guys, enjoy your fall. We will be back sometime in December to get the grind begins anew, Brian.
I can't wait.
For sure.
I'll be back.
Yes, for sure. All right. Well, thanks for tuning into this special Fargo Nationals off-season edition of the Matt Chat Prepcast. For Al Fontes and Brian Zollinger and all of you, Idaho Wrestling Nation. We'll see you in December. I'm Brandon Baney on